You are listening to the audio production of The Christian in Complete Armor, Spiritual Arms for the Battle, by William Gurnall, published by Audiobooks and read by Arthur Morey. A treatise of the whole armor of God. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand, therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. And for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly, to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly, as I ought to speak. Ephesians chapter 2, verses 10 to 20. The Introduction. Paul was now in bonds, yet not so close kept as to be denied pen and paper. God, it seems, gave him some favor in the sight of his enemies. Paul was Nero's prisoner, but Nero was much more God's. And while God had work for Paul, he found him friends both in court and prison. Let persecutors send saints to prison. God can provide a keeper for their turn. But how does this great apostle spend his time in prison? Not in publishing invectives against those, though the worst of men, who had laid him in, a piece of zeal which the holy sufferers of those times were little acquainted with, nor in politic counsels, how he might wind himself out of his trouble by sordid flattery of, or sinful compliance with, the great ones of the times. Some would have used any picklock to have opened a passage to their liberty, and not scrupled, so escape they might, whether they got out at the door or window. But this holy man was not so fond of liberty or life as to purchase them at the least hazard to the gospel. He knew too much of another world to bid so high for the enjoying of this, and therefore he is regardless what his enemies can do with him, well knowing he should go to heaven whether they would or no. No, the great care which lay upon him was for the churches of Christ. As a faithful steward, he labors to set the house of God in order before his departure. We read of no dispatches sent to court to procure his liberty, but many to the churches to help them to stand fast in the liberty wherewith Christ had made them free. There is no such way to be even with the devil and his instruments, for all their spite against us, as by doing what good we can, wherever we become. The devil had as good have let Paul alone, for he no sooner comes into prison but he falls a-preaching, at which the gates of Satan's prison fly open, and poor sinners come forth. Happy for Onesimus that Paul was sent to jail. God had an errand for Paul to do to him and others, which the devil never dreamed of. Nay, he doth not only preach in prison, but that he may do the devil all the mischief he can, he sends his epistles to the churches, that, tasting his spirit in his afflictions and reading his faith, now ready to be offered up, they might much more be confirmed. Amongst which Ephesus was not least in his thoughts, as you may perceive by his abode with them 2 years together. Acts chapter 19, verse 10. As also by his sending for the elders of this church as far as Miletus in his last journey to Jerusalem. Acts chapter 20, verse 17, to take his farewell of them as never to see their faces in this world more. And surely the sad impression which that heart-breaking departure left on the spirits of these elders, yea, the whole church, by them acquainted with this mournful,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?